it's 7:30 on this.
So I use the oven, I use the
So we'll
convection
call the
grill.
meeting to order. This is the meeting of
I don't
the
know.
Green Bay Housing Authority.
Trained people, I think, though.
Right, we're starting.
That's right.
Okay.
So we have roll call. It's the first item on the agenda that we have. We're all signed in, I hope. And so next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, or any additions or modifications to the agenda? No, hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda is approved. Item C, approval of minutes from the November 21st, 2019 meeting that is in your packet. Are there any additions or corrections? Otherwise, I entertain a motion to approve.
Motion approved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item D, regular business. Item number 1, consideration with possible action to award Mason Manor a carpet rolls and installation contract, the lowest responsible and responsive bidder, i.e. Kohler Flooring Incorporated. And that is in your packet.
So our current carpet rolls and installation contract has expired at the end of the year. So we are working with purchasing department. We went out for bid, and they purchased, excuse me, I haven't come back line of quote. They personally reached out to multiple different flooring companies, and we only got one bid returned. So it's a little bit more expensive than what we were paying, but with cost the COLA, I feel it's pretty reasonable. So we are just asking that you would approve.
I'll make that
contract.
motion.
I have a motion, and I will second that motion. Any further discussion or questions? All right, and I think we have to vote on our little handy dandy machine here.
It'll pop up. It'll pop up.
We gotta wait till it comes out.
Yeah, just running a little slow, and Con can't make it fast.
Do
Can
you
you?
see anything?
Not yet, not
Nothing
yet,
yet.
not yet.
Like that's what happened last.
You can take a voice vote if you want, Con can enter that in.
Okay, I'll give you.
Yep.
That's slow.
Okay, so we'll take a voice vote. All in favor of the contract for the carpeting at Mason Manor for Kohler, is it Kohler or Kaler?
And Kaler.
Kaler Flooring Incorporated, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, item number 2, consideration with possible action to approve an initial resolution authorizing the sale and issuance of student housing revenue funding bonds, Series 2020 for the University Village Housing Project, or Housing Inc. project.
So we received this request. They are looking to do refunding of the bonds, and fortunately, since I have not worked in this field, fortunately, today we have Keith Pamprin here, and Kelly France from University Housing. Keith Pamprin used to be the housing administrator for the Green Bay and Brown County Housing Authorities for 500 years, Keith, I don't know, 35, 40 years. And, you know, was really the crafter of this, so if you wouldn't mind opening the floor, he can talk to you about what they did and what they're asking for today.
I will entertain a motion to open the floor for
I'll make that
esteemed
motion.
guests. Second.
Keith? Thank you. Just to give you a little history, during my employment with the Housing Authority, we saw this as a method of developing housing in the community. The Housing Authority has the ability to issue housing mortgage revenue bonds. The advantage of these bonds, they're very similar to industrial revenue bonds, except they're even more advantageous in that the income on the bonds that the investor gets is tax exempt on the federal and state level. As a result, they're willing to lend their money or purchase the bonds at a much lower rate. So for example, the bonds that we're refunding today, the rate has been 4.9%. And of course, that's a fixed rate for a long time. Over the years, I think the Green Bay Housing Authority and Brown County Housing Authority combined did somewhere in the neighborhood of 17 different developments using housing mortgage revenue bonds. Every one of them have been successful, and the housing authorities have benefited greatly from the standpoint of having that new housing and receiving an annual fee on the bonds of 1/10 of 1%. So 1/10 of 1%, 1/10 of 1% of the annual bonds are paid to the housing authority annually, which is monies that you can use to improve the housing authority programs. We've never had any of them have any difficulty. By the way, there was absolutely no financial risk to the city or the housing authority in the issuing of these bonds.
And I've done many of these in my career as well. They're sometimes called pass-through bonds because essentially all the lenders are doing is using our name. There's no liability, there's no debt that's attached to us or the city. So it's virtually zero negative impact on our side for doing this.
And provides a revenue stream
Right.
for the housing authority to do other projects.
In addition, when we did the bonds, while I was here, we always put some conditions that if they were developing apartments, we wanted a percentage of the apartments to be affordable. And in addition, have universal design for people with disabilities. And now I need it. So the whole purpose of us coming to you for refunding is to save money. We're lowering the interest rate from approximately 4.9% to 2.35%. We're not extending the term at all. We're keeping the term of the bonds the same, it'd be 2030. University Village Housing Incorporated, which is a not-for-profit corporation that developed all the student dorms out at UWGB. And by the way, the Housing Authority has issued over $36 million of bonds to fund those dorms over the years. And much of them have been paid off except for this issue. They've all now been paid off successfully. So it's a great way.
I gotta correct Keith, not that he's a liar. There is another bond out there that expires in 2021, but,
There's two of them, right?
right.
I don't know everything.
Yes.
That's a shock.
By the way, this is Kelly Franz. Kelly Franz is a volunteer that serves on the board of directors with University Village Housing. He's the retired finance director, chancellor of finance for university, so we got the financial people.
You got
on
the
our
numbers
side.
guy. That's good. So Keith, why do you think, I feel like these revenue bonds aren't exciting right now? Is it because the interest rate is not as good as what they can get in the market?
That's correct. One of the issues is as the commercial interest rates come down, the advantage of going through the bond process
Right.
averages out.
Okay.
One of the issues is that there's, just like TIF bonding,
Yep.
there's a fair amount of front-end costs to do one of these bonds.
I've seen the emails. Yes.
So when you measure the front-end cost plus the low interest rates, it's questionable whether or not its value is the same as it was back then.
So if interest rates start going up,
Yes.
these will become more valuable
They
then
could.
for housing development?
And
Okay.
if you need a consultant, Kelly and I are willing to come forward.
So the minutes, everybody got that?
Volunteer
Volunteer.
consultant.
Anything else, Keith?
So, the action that we need from the authority is to adopt this initial resolution, and then in January, we'll have, after all the financial things are done, we'll come back with a final resolution.
Okay, so when do you expect you guys will be getting the refinancing completed?
Your meeting's January 20th, so probably in the afternoon of
Oh,
January
okay.
20th or
Yeah.
January. We'll have everything set ahead of time, and we have to wait for the final resolution before Authority can hit the markets with the bonds. But we'll have pricing and all that stuff taken care of by then.
Okay. Anything else?
So I am very ignorant when it comes to these types of financials. So explain what what those bonds, or this whole process, what it's used for, besides UWGB, but now that we're redoing these bonds, is it still used to pay off those projects, or how does that all work?
Well, the bonds for University Village Housing are still invested in and need to be amortized over the next
Okay.
10 years. So yes, that financing stays in place
Okay.
for University Village Housing. Housing mortgage revenue bonds can be used for a multitude of housing. As I said, those 17 projects that we did, one of them was Foxcroft Apartments on the Fox River. The initial one that we did was back in 1981 or 82, was the first housing on University Avenue on
Sure.
Clay, where we actually took 5 existing buildings and moved them and totally rehabilitated them and made them as affordable housing. We did 200-unit projects in De Pere, one in Ashwaubenon. So we've done a number of projects around the county, and all of them have a percentage of the units have to be made available to households of incomes under 80% of median income. So there's a bit of an affordable housing aspect, and it also mixes income. So it's not all affordable housing, it's 3/4, standard. So I've always felt it was a very beneficial opportunity for the community to increase our affordable housing.
And agree with that, so then we would hold bonds that the community would purchase from us? I mean, how does that?
That's already happened.
Oh, okay.
You're basically refinancing these.
Oh,
for
the bonds
better
that you already
interest
have,
rate.
okay.
Yep.
Right.
So then with that, and you said that we've looked at making them either universally designed or so many of them, can we add to that? Can we say if we do use these into further housing, right?
No,
No,
the
it's still
project
just
is
for
done.
that, so it's done. Okay, we're just
project is completed.
refinancing like you're refinancing a
Yep.
house.
Yeah, those-
Okay, all
Those
right,
bonds
that
are-
sounds
Those
fine.
bonds are probably held by large banks.
Okay,
or
gotcha. So
other
that,
financial
everything is all
institutions.
done, you're just refinancing.
Right.
That I get.
In this
Okay.
process, you're not creating any new
Oh,
housing.
okay, all right.
Okay.
We're simply refinancing existing housing that you've already financed, but at a much better rate.
Sure, a better interest rate. That makes sense. Thank you.
Keith, would some of the savings from the interest bond be used to adapt any accessibility needs to some of the older units? I mean, you mentioned the youngest one being, the oldest being 1981. ADA's come a pretty good ways since 1981.
The
Fair
savings,
housing.
the savings are actually going to be reinvested into the bonds to some degree.
Well, what's going to happen with the savings is, because of high purpose is to provide low-cost on-campus housing,
Sure.
we'll keep what the savings will do is
You'll
be
keep
used to
low
keep the rates down for
Sure.
students,
That makes sense, yeah.
which we've had, because of some of this, we've had years where the rent wasn't raised for a couple, 3 years, and I think everybody pretty much knows the cost of going to school isn't what it was 30 years ago.
Sure.
How many units do you have on campus now?
There's about 16 or 17, whether they're residence style or apartment style
Okay.
apartments that Of High has constructed since 1984, was the
Okay.
first ones.
And then how many of those are accessible? Because we toured those. Yeah.
I mean, half
This
of
bond
those-
isn't that old though, right?
Pardon?
When, this bond was not issued.
This bond was actually the Keith Pamper and Paul bond.
I was
That's
just going to
right.
say, was that yours?
It's
Yeah.
2009.
But that was 2009, not in the 80s.
Oh,
So that
okay.
housing was constructed in
2009.
2009.
Yeah, I remember touring.
And all the ground floor units in
Correct.
that building are
Accessible.
universal design.
Okay.
That makes more sense, right? Because
And-
half of them are stairs on the ends, right? And you're.
Yes.
Yeah, because they've got barrier-free showers, which was something that that's not a universal design, but something that we had requested when those were designed. Great.
Anything, any other questions? Otherwise, is there a motion to close the floor?
I'll make that motion.
And I will second. All in favor of closing the floor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carries. So now we have on the agenda the approval of the initial resolution, and I will make the motion to approve that resolution. Proceed with the project, and we have a second for that. And so we need to vote. Is that going to pop up on our screen now? or-
Yes.
Yay!
And I need-
Woo-hoo. Wow, that was quick, huh?
I
Yes.
need the number.
There we go. Then just yes.
For the sake.
That's saved. Yep. That's saved, yep. Okay, motion approved.
And that was how many, can you just say for the record, how many As and how many As?
4, wait, 5, I'm sorry. 5
As.
5 A's
0, okay.
and 0. Yep.
Unanimous.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, good to see you, Keith.
If you find
Merry
any more
Christmas,
projects, let us
Happy
know
New
so
Year.
we can help out.
Well, we will see you January 20th.
All right,
Sounds
very
good, nice to meet you.
Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
You don't have to read those emails. I read them all.
Thank you.
That's a lot of them.
We're gonna get together in January, so we've got lots of talking to do about other
Okay.
stuff too.
Have a great Christmas.
Bye.
Have a
Bye.
good
Merry
Yes,
Christmas,
Merry
Keith.
Christmas too.
And keep this housing authority going.
Yes.
We will.
Thank you.
Thanks, Keith.
Great.
All right, moving on. Item number 3, consideration with possible action to amend Chapter 13, lease terminations of the admissions and continued occupancy plan.
Okay, so this is our last month of ACOPS. I promise you, we will be all good. So major, or key changes for this chapter are the lease revisions. So just updates on how we can update the lease, which we will have a few coming in spring. But we require a 60-day comment period for our tenants. We do host a tenant meeting. It is then approved by our board, and then the tenants do have to accept the changes to the lease, otherwise we can pursue termination of their lease. Updates to the arrest records where the housing authority cannot terminate solely based on an arrest record. We would have to wait for a conviction or any other preponderance of evidence we may have. And then the last major update are over income families. So families' income where their income is over 120% of the area median income for 2 consecutive years, we would have to pursue the termination. So if they go 120% over the AMI and then come down and then come back up, it's 2 consecutive years. So that's when we have to pursue termination. So they can go back and forth, ebb and flow. So yes, we are just looking at.
So do you look at that, so let's say it's somebody with a disability who lives in an accessible apartment,
Mhm.
and they just can't find anything with a barrier-free shower, and they've made money now enough to be over that 100, whatever you had just said, and 2 years, and they just can't find anything else in the community, would you consider an accommodation at that point?
We cannot, because that is a HUD policy. So it's 120% of the area median income. So
Wow.
that is, I mean, I have it
That would
in,
make someone just not work as hard if they need that shower,
I
which is too
have-
bad.
Right.
We don't have accessible showers or anything.
yep,
Yeah, we do,
yeah, we do.
yeah,
That means
that
we're gonna be
area,
4
yeah.
on the main floor.
Yeah,
But,
4
Oh,
apartments, yeah.
I would say
The
I
goal is to
have,
get more.
Yeah.
in one of these chapters, it's
Oh, you poor
provided.
thing.
I know it's in here because I had to calculate for one of the chapters, I'll find it. Oh, it had it on that chapter. 120% of the area median income,
It's pretty high.
it's very high.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's fine.
It's almost
I just always worry
70,000.
about that because
Right,
lots of
because there's
times
not a lot
people
of
congregate to that area because
Oh.
there just isn't into those units.
So
because
for
there
a
isn't.
one-person household, Sandy, it's $68,000.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But that's high, it could happen.
Yep.
At the same time, having that shower is, could stop them from working their full potential.
Right.
That's
Or
just
just
me.
even accessibility to it.
Correct.
Not just a
Yep.
shower.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
So we would like a motion to approve these changes.
So any additional questions or comments regarding this chapter?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second, we have a motion and a second. All right, so we're going to take the vote on this.
Sandy. And then it's
Steve, with a second.
All right, it should pop up, should have popped up on your.
It did.
screen.
Yay.
And it was quick.
All right, motion approved.
Back to the agenda here. All right, so now we are on to item number 4. Consideration with possible action to amend Chapter 14, grievances and appeals of the admissions and continued occupancy plan.
No, they do that.
All right, so in this chapter, key changes require for when we deny an application, all of our applicants receive a letter as to why they are being denied, and then verbiage of the ACOP. With that denial letter, we now have to provide a violence against women's right form, just with that denial letter, because if they didn't pay rent because of domestic violence reasons, they can submit that appeal form. So it's just another form that we have to provide when we do initially deny an application. Another key change was for the United States Citizen and Immigration Services appeal. So if we have tenants that have a green card or they're ineligible non-citizens, once we submit their new admission to HUD, the website, it usually takes 90 days for them to be recognized into the HUD system. So if it comes back with contradicting evidence or information that they are not a U.S. citizen or they're not here legally, they have an appeal process that was updated in this chapter. And then the last one is our hearing officer. So since we've had some staff changes as housing administrator, we've just updated it to Cheryl as the executive director would get the initial appeals. If anybody appeals my initial decision, Cheryl or the executive director doesn't have any opinions in my initial decision, so then it would go to her as a third party that is new to the point, so.
Do you need more work?
Hopefully we don't have a lot of them.
Yes.
Do you go to bed at night and just like go through?
I have a notepad next to my bed, yes.
I noticed when we were talking about the immigration status thing, there was, in the previous chapter, there was a provision, I think it was probably in there from before, that it was, they were terminated if they weren't citizens. Is this like the second part of that? The appeal process?
The appeal process, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so if they appeal it, then this is just how, like, if they want to appeal our decision, then they have to just provide in writing, like, I'm appealing this, here's my documentation, I really am, your HUD system isn't giving the correct information, which is a very good possibility.
Okay. All right, any other questions? Otherwise, is there a motion to approve chapter 14?
I motion.
All right, and I will second. Any further questions or discussion? Otherwise, let's vote.
All right, motion approved.
All right, very good. Moving on to item number 5, consideration with possible action to amend chapter 15, program integrity of the admissions and continued occupancy plan.
Okay, so key changes in this chapter are preventing errors in program abuse. So another one of the, excuse me, tools that we have on HUD's website is called EIB and UIB. So it is just like an income verification that's updated quarterly. So this is where we can verify if a tenant is working, isn't working, and social security amounts. So that helps provide program abuse or unintentional errors. And then the other changes was a lot of the public housing notice numbers have been updated, and additions to the prohibited activities, which is on page 15.7, just committing sexual harassment items, allowing sexual harassment, and retaliating against any applicant, resident, or staff reporting sexual harassment. Those are prohibited activities.
Any questions? Or comments?
No.
I will entertain a motion to approve. Is there a second?
A second.
Okay, motion and a second. Time to vote.
Okay, motion approved.
Great. Moving on then to item number 6, consideration with possible action to amend chapter 16, program administration of the admissions and continued occupancy plan.
So this is the last chapter, yay. This last chapter is just a catch-all of everything that we've approved between 1 and 15. It just summarizes our ACOP. So I don't need to go into depth, if that's okay with you all, of everything that we've approved between chapter 1 and 15. So it's just as the chapter in program administration of the entire ACOP.
So let me ask you quick, is all of this stuff, do they like send it to you and then you put it in, you cut and paste it in, so it's their verbiage, not you have to come up with something that they?
A lot of it is, so we
Okay.
subscribe to Nan McKay, which does like all the HUD websites. So they really provide a lot of like the public housing notice numbers that were updated, websites that were updated.
Okay.
But then you can kind of see like subs, like GVHA policy, that's what we can kind of tailor it to what we feel. So there's a
Okay.
lot of may or must. Everything that's must comes from Nan McKay.
Okay, all righty, thank you.
All right.
Of the whole file that we've gone through in this meeting and previously, it feels like so many of these things are like interrelated. And you've thoroughly read all of them. Are they parallel? Like, was there, like, because I feel like sometimes it's,
We're going over again.
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like I think we've heard this, but in a different context. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it
The
just
common
seems
theme,
so-
I feel, is domestic violence.
Right.
So just anything,
citizenship.
whether it's income or assets or recalculating or allowing someone on the program or denying someone on the program or terminating, it's all, personally, and I'm sure Kat can attest because we have read every page of this new chapter or this new book, but it's very domestic violence as that's kind of like the theme.
So they wanted you to add that
The
that
language
language in
to
each
every
chapter
chapter.
whenever you deal with
Yeah.
that.
A lot of it was the VAWA that updated each
Yeah.
policy, like now you have to add this little verbiage in there
Yeah.
about the
So
violence.
they did this one and then they picked up these pieces?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And all of this stuff too, I mean, from even, not including the domestic violence aspect of it, all of it is interrelated.
Yes, right.
You know, so if you're tinkering, it's like the tax code, you know, if you amend one section,
It
that
is.
section refers, it pops up, you
100
know,
others.
300
Yes.
other places, so you have to go back and change that letter or
Those
that
correct
number.
numbers,
Right,
yeah.
That's why we
If they-
tell the interns to describe something once. Different places.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, that's typical of these kinds of things that they do that, so. All right, any further questions on chapter 16? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion,
I'll second.
we have a second, time to vote.
When you're all not looking at me, it means it's working. Motion approved.
All right, very good. We will move on to informational items, GBHA Mills.
I want to take this opportunity to make known that we're done with the voting piece. I hope you all have a super night.
Yes.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.
Con, you can.
Happy New Year.
I'll take care of it.
Okay. We'll have you leave the meeting, so you can get it on site.
So for girls, those are in your packet. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
If there's anything extraordinary from them.
What? Some quarterly.
I see extermination bills have gone down.
We
sure have, yes.
They've gone down, I was looking at them on and they're home.
Oh, my
Oh,
gosh.
Mary, you have no idea.
She wasn't here when the.
That's right. What was the highest amount?
Spent over $50,000 in a year.
Yeah.
Oh,
easily.
total.
I would say,
Yeah.
we probably spent close to $250,000.
Yeah, I said any one
Yeah.
year.
One year.
And
Yeah.
over
Just for
multiple
logs.
And let's
years.
just say half, it was like half the building was infested.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was.
And now we are just, I mean, really, we're bed bug free, but it's one of those things when you have
You
multi
gotta
families.
keep it.
Yeah.
You never will be, you know,
Yep.
you're always gonna have to jump
Have
on
a
it
flow.
too, right? So,
Yeah,
but we're very aggressive quarterly inspections.
it's not like they're in the walls, hanging out in one thing.
And as of right now, we're 100%,
Yep.
bed bug free.
Great,
Until our
good
next
job.
inspection.
Yep. So that's really good news for us.
Yes.
But we had to work hard for that, so.
Yeah, oh my gosh, definitely.
And, you know, kudos to the tenants.
Yeah.
Also working with
Yeah.
us and getting the units, letting them in, and, you know, we have a policy in place about furniture coming in, and we're pretty aggressive, which is good.
Yeah.
You need an approval on this, or?
Do we need an approval, or just place on file?
It's just,
I'll second that motion to place on file. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 2, GBHA financial report.
It's in the packet as well.
Yes. Any highlights, any lowlights, any other lights?
I see red.
Well, and that's because, well, we knew that would happen,
Okay.
because the age of our buildings and going backwards.
Right.
I guess one of our highlights is that we did get a little bit of extra funding from HUD. I don't know if this is the end of November, that'll show up in December. They had adjusted our occupants, our general funding, and they raised it and didn't really tell anybody, so at the end of the year, when I pulled out my amount, I had an extra like $10,000 that I got to
Great.
pull down.
God, I'm so happy. That's
Yeah.
good, yeah.
We'll take it. So that's
it's not
one.
nearly enough, but we'll take it.
And you have happy faces under the shortfalls because it's less than a shortfall than you anticipated?
Those are
Those
frowny
are sad.
faces.
Those are frowny faces.
Oh, okay. Sheesh.
And what it is that just means that we have less than 6 months in our.
Oh,
reserve.
gotcha. Those are frowns, huh?
And part of that is that our 6 months of expenses, it also calculates what we had over last year. So if we had a ton of major expenses, 6 months worth of expenses, because you just take your whole year and divide it by half,
Sure.
grows.
Oh.
So our 6 months of expenses is growing, but yet the amount of money we have in reserve is shrinking. So,
Because we can only keep so much in reserve.
yeah.
Okay. We used to have a great reserve.
All right, I will entertain a motion to, well, I'll make the motion to accept and place on file.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, or any further questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
The
motion-
Langen.
Langen report.
Langen style.
Okay, those are in your packets as well, just kind of totals our applications that we have received from Mason Manor.
Nothing wrong.
Wow.
Exciting.
Wow, there's like nothing.
We haven't had really move votes.
Right.
That's okay.
We've been fully occupied.
Yes, we
Yay.
All right,
Good job.
so I don't think we need anything with the Langen report. Director's report.
All right, so just to bring you up to speed on some things we're working on. The Brown County Housing Authority let the RFP out for the project-based vouchers that we need to apply for the Section 18 repositioning of our scattered sites. So we've been working on that. Jamie's been putting that together, and we'll get that proposal in. The RFP was written really for housing authorities to apply for this money, so it'd be Deep here and us, and Pulaski, we're the only ones doing it right now. So we'll get that in, so we're pretty confident we'll get those project-based vouchers. I had all the trust documents redone and recorded at a HUD request. So that's been completed, so we're ready to send those documents in.
Did they ever get the signature line thing, when we talked about that after I signed? 50?
Yeah, I talked to her, she's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that needs to be on there next week.
It was, there were, if you were here last time, there was a stack of
Yeah.
that I think I spent
For your signature.
30 minutes signing, and we noticed that they didn't have a notarization, because they're going to get recorded over at the courthouse, they needed a notarization and a drafted by.
So did you have to re-sign?
No,
Oh.
no, I think they,
I watched them sign, I'm a notary, and I have a stamp that I can put the
Okay.
proper wording on, so I took care of all that.
Yes, and I have the recorded documents in my hand, so they took them.
good.
So they're ready to go. And we continue to do the application for Section 18. Very lengthy. We found out we're the only housing authority in Wisconsin, right?
Yeah.
Going for a Section 18 position, which surprised me. I thought there were more.
Well, after his little talk here, I thought
Right.
everybody'd be jumping on
Yeah.
the bandwagon. So
Right.
you kind of wonder.
So we have to, I'm not sure if I talked about this at the last meeting, but we talked with our HUD rep. And so we'll compile this application, get it to the Milwaukee HUD reps.
Yep.
And then they vet it, back and
Oh,
forth, back
okay.
and forth, back and forth. And then they submit it to the SAC office, which they told us could be 6 months before they approve
Sure.
it.
So it
So
might be
we're
a
looking
while.
maybe summer, fall-ish, even if we
Okay.
get it in January for that transition to take place. But
Okay.
hopefully sooner, but it's a lengthy process. We're working with, we got our capital improvements plan back, but there were a number of numbers that were wrong for the repairs that were made, the elevator was wrong, the generator. So we just had a conference call with them last week. We're gonna provide them the documentation we have on the estimates and get that to them so they can see that and they can make a full adjustment to that. And then we'll have that estimate on what the costs are for the repairs at Mason Manor through, was it 10 years, I think, on that plan?
I believe
They're
so,
looking
yeah.
at it, but
Upfront costs.
yeah, they're very significant. I think the plan right now is like 3.7
6 or is it?
in like the first year.
Oh, okay, yep.
But then it's gonna be higher than that because they misestimated the generator and some of the elevator work. So it's a chunk of change regardless, but. And then Mason Manor Christmas Party is today. It starts at, what time does it start at? 4? 4. So, yeah.
I see progress is ongoing in our financing that we did for that low-income housing.
Yes, the Broadway lots.
Next to you,
If
yes.
you look at the it's out of the ground and it's actually like, you can't see it from your car
It's
now.
a building,
Right.
holy cats.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the
So-
townhouses,
Can we
and
help with that?
there's like
Yes.
townhouses and their parking lot and our parking lot, so it's.
So are we looking at access? I mean, do you look at access for those, like what they're doing for accessibility on that? Are they
I feel
units,
like we
living
did.
units?
Yes,
Yes.
they're
Can we
affordable housing.
review that to make sure that there's a couple barrier-free showers in that, or did we not?
I thought we
I
brought
thought
that
there
up.
was, yes,
Yes,
because we,
I must have
the
missed
guy
that meeting.
from
Yeah.
the,
Jonathan.
Jonathan.
Alki.
yes.
You know, he's.
Yeah, he's no longer with Broadway Laws.
Oh, really?
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
There's someone else.
But there was
Yes, I
somebody
heard some
from
changes.
the state,
Mhm.
is it Lita?
Debbie Dean. Rita, she was there.
Yeah, there was somebody that they talked about that when we
Right.
had that little
The groundbreaking.
groundbreaking over there, that there was, it was handicap accessible in some of the units, so.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know the full extent of it, but I saw at the, I had to look for something, they, didn't the RDA do another developers agreement or amendment to a developers agreement with that? And I was gonna, I saw it was like last month.
Oh, yes. I think they did. I don't know, it didn't affect that project at all.
Oh, okay.
There's another development, another housing development that's going to be growing
Oh,
further into the rail yard.
okay,
That, I think, is market rate units.
okay.
So looking at that, but, and then Firehouse Flats is being rented up. That's the project next to St.
27th. They're
St.
leasing up.
Mary's Hospital.
Oh,
And all those
What did you call
townhomes-
it?
They call them Firehouse Flats.
Firehouse Flats, yep.
It's the Friary building that they remodeled next to the church, St. Mary's and Angels Church. But then they also have the family townhome construction going on in the back, which is,
So-
we're really far on those.
Geez, why am I not like knowing
That-
these things? I feel like
is that
really
the-
bad
is that
because
that
are they
area
accessible?
over, like off of Baird?
The-
Or
Yes, that's on actually
Do
Cass.
they have
Cass, yeah,
accessible
okay.
units?
Yep.
Do they have?
Cass and Baird. I'd have to check on that to see if there's some.
I would
in
appreciate
the-
that, because any building that's going up right now, if we can get in there to make sure one or two have barrier-free showers, I have consumers that just really need that
Yep.
and would move in an instant, you
Yep.
know? So as long as they're in the affordable rent areas, so.
And I don't know about the Friar House building, that
I think
actual,
that's
because that was a
open.
historical, I think, restoration, so I'm not sure if they did that in there. But the
Yeah, that would be
townhomes in the
great.
back, we're in our new construction, so.
And where are those located?
It's, so it's in Astor East River, that neighborhood, you know where St. Mary's of the Angels Church is on Irwin? Like East
the
Mason
old
and Irwin.
roller rink used to be.
Yes,
Bear
East
Street.
Mason, Bear Street, okay.
Kinda
The old
that-
roller
That's
rink.
the corner, so if you,
Okay.
if you drive down, if you're
They
heading
used to
south
run
on
a
Baird
roller-
from Mason.
roller rink in the
that-
basement.
That big black metal fencing
Show
that was
my
on the corner, one block in.
Mine.
Oh, sure.
That area behind the church, that's all townhomes now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, yeah, so if you drive down there,
Yeah,
they're
it was a
okay.
big
Okay.
area too, that, they had a
Right.
huge.
So if
they
you
got a
can
whole
find that
block.
out for me,
Right.
and if they're leasing up, so even the one that you're talking about, if they're leasing up already, I've got a staff person that would probably be interested.
I'm assuming, because I spoke with a few people that are leasing up. They were projected to lease up, I think, in the beginning of December, and then a few construction things. But I think because of their tax credits, they need to be leased up by the end of the year. So I know one of the tenants that we work common in is signing her lease for December 27th.
Okay.
There's a website,
Mhm.
Friar House Flats, that you can go to, that's at 645 South Irwin. It's friarhouseflats.com. And their number, Sandy, is 920-579-8526.
I really think the Broadway loss would be a good one too. Do you know when they are starting to get information out on those?
Oh, I'm not sure.
I know
Construction
that-
now, but
I know they're planning on, being move-in ready, December of 2020.
Of 2020, okay.
Yeah, so, but,
Okay.
I mean, those guys are working in the dark.
Yes.
yeah, they're really,
I mean,
On
wow.
weekends,
Yeah.
on weekends, on
Yeah.
Sundays,
Right.
they're like working around the clock almost.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. And those for sure, there's a couple probably barrier-free in that one.
I had
So
thought there
I'll
was.
tell
Yes,
you.
I don't know how
thought-
many, I can't tell you how many.
No, I thought that was discussed when we had that groundbreaking.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's what I
Anything
got.
else?
No.
All right, very good.
Oh, well, do you want to, I was going to let you talk about
Oh.
that, Jamie.
Sorry.
It's an important thing that we're going to announce
Which-
and show you.
Might have to turn that one on.
And hopefully
This
it
one-
comes
That one, yep,
later.
that one's for
Left hand first.
Fancy clickers and a whole bit.
What? Howard? What? What am I doing stuff?
I have the same
That
problem
one
with my
first,
VCR and
that
my
one second.
TV and my Roku and all
That
that
one you-
stuff.
Yeah.
Aim at the computer.
Gotcha.
I just have Prime, so I don't get
For a
too
minute.
confused.
That should pull up. It's thinking. It's just.
The TV?
It's on.
It's
The light went
slow.
on.
It's.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So this is nothing fancy or anything, but if you remember a while back, we
I
applied
was there, but I didn't look at it the other day.
Oh, yes, so we applied for a WIDA grant, in which we received in the amount of $25,000. Our kitchen is completed.
Well,
The other posting of these managers is already done, so it is done.
Yeah.
So if you remember, this is how
Yep.
fabulous it looked before.
And it worked.
It was fun, yes,
You
it
can't
worked.
get the real feeling for it though, unless you're
Yes.
even looking at the old stuff.
So I mean, it's outdated, it's really fabulous, and it is done.
Is that
Wow.
beautiful?
Nice.
Where's your stoves?
We have,
Oh my God.
yes.
Is that a double oven that's?
It sure is.
Oh
We
gosh.
do convection
Oh.
and convection
Yes.
with high
That's
grill and convection
beautiful.
yellow
What
grill.
kind, countertops? Are those laminate or are those
Corian,
board?
Corian.
Oh, those are Korean?
Those are
Oh my
Korean.
gosh, those will last forever and are those
Yes, that's why we-
beautiful.
So that is our brand new community kitchen that we're really excited and proud of, so that's it.
Very nice. Damn, I should have looked
Do a
at
press
it.
release.
Yeah. All our information is to John Voight with WIDA, so.
Thanks.
All right, moving on. Item number 5, occupancy report.
Sorry, that was not in your packet, so you'll have the
That's
one in
okay.
front of you. Let's see, so like I mentioned a few minutes ago, we are fully occupied for Mason Manor, and I believe we just have one right now for scattered sites, correct, that we're just working on getting? Well, one's offline. Technically, one's offline, that we're doing some major rehab too, so that wouldn't consider be a vacancy for HUD. But we just have one general vacant for scattered sites that we're working on leasing up. I believe Pat has a family, just waiting for meetings to say lease them up.
So how come you're at 90 and 89 versus 100?
Is it just when you pull the numbers stuff?
I re-pulled them and that's what it says in the system.
Okay.
It's system generated and I can't change it.
Okay.
Then we took, for 2019, we finalized with 55 new move-ins for Mason Manor and scattered sites.
Oh my
And we had
gosh.
54 move-outs for all of 2019, so.
Sandy, where were you looking anyways? Because the total number's on the bottom.
Just down the bottom.
At the
sorry.
very bottom, that's
Yeah.
a total, that's an average for the year.
That's what I was gonna
That's
ask that
average
then
for the year.
afterwards.
Yeah.
if
Yeah,
it's
because
an
we're at
average.
99.3%, so that
Because
means.
there's a couple hundreds in there, so.
Yep, so they had one vacancy at Mason Manor per the system at the end of November, and I think that they had 2 at scattered sites as of the end.
Well, most likely, so yep.
But still good.
Yes.
But okay, so can I, so I'm an average person, so if you look at occupancy rates and you go down and you go to scattered sites and you look down, there's no 80, so how can it be
Yeah,
like
that's what I was wondering.
88.22%? There's
It's
no
if you average it
89,
out, and
there's
Mason
no,
Manor should be a lot
none of
higher
them.
than 90.
They should all be higher because there's no 89 if you keep
I will
going
look at
down.
it's a formula, I can look at it. It's
That's
whatever.
It's a very inaccurate formula according to my way of calculating.
higher.
Yeah, it should be much higher. Because even if you look at the bigger columns for
So
Mason
what-
Manor and scattered
What I'm
sites.
assuming happened is that it's calculating, it's dividing it by 12, but it's when you move the things around, it's not catching December, so it's not adding December's numbers in. So it's taking 11 months, dividing it by 12 as it's a 12. So.
Which
So
is-
then you're having one being zero.
Right,
Gotcha.
right.
Okay,
Which
that
is-
would make
which is
sense.
screwed up.
Yeah, which
Okay.
is screwed up. So I just I'll check that.
Okay,
That for me. It's not.
that screwed up computer.
So are they going to be doing the inspection yet this
The
year?
REAC, they give us a 2-week notice.
So probably not, huh?
Maybe, probably not this year because of the holidays, but
You know what
they
really
could come in
helps us
spring.
is this type of occupancy.
Oh.
Absolutely.
So when we bring these occupancy numbers up, HUD looks at the whole picture. And, you know, when we were down, these numbers were very low. They're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Right? And then you're gonna get
Oh.
inspected more, you're gonna
Right.
get checked more
Oh,
because they
right.
think you might be close to being in crisis or something. So,
Okay.
So this is very helpful that we're moving these things around.
And HUD is on us and monitors this all the time.
Okay.
Yep.
So you have an eviction for a pet violation. What is a pet violation? A pet bit? A pet?
And we probably can't talk about
Oh, sorry.
specifics, but you could give us a general.
Is that the one that I know about?
Oh.
I think it was a pet that wasn't allowed.
Yes.
Oh, gotcha.
I think
Okay.
it's certain pets you
I
can
did
have,
not-
and this was not a pet that was
Gotcha.
allowed.
Okay,
Yeah, it was an unallowed pet.
gotcha.
That was brought in.
I did not think of that yet.
I
could not put two and two
Unallowed
together.
pet.
Gotcha. Okay.
We'll leave it at that.
Part of the policy. That's all you just need to know.
That's good. That's good.
Cool. And I did check with HUD last time, we cannot require pet insurance.
Oh, okay. Huh.
Although our insurance covers if anything happens in our building.
Right, right.
Just
You
like
know, so we're
renters.
protected as the housing
Good.
authority.
Yeah.
Glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
I thought about that.
What about if the person ends up with a huge hospital bill and they don't have enough insurance for it all?
They would have to go after that tenant personally, because we cannot legally require renter's insurance or pet
Wow.
insurance.
Kind of like what would happen actually in the real world, to be honest
Right.
with you.
Yeah.
If you were
Yeah.
anywhere else and
Yep.
something happened and somebody didn't have any resources.
Right.
Yeah, I know with homeowners policies, there will be, for some types of pets, not
Right.
like a Doberman Pinscher or something
Right.
like that, that won't be covered, but, you know, your standard, you know, like poodle or something like that, that's kind of covered, yeah, it's covered under your homeowners policy.
If you have
And-
a renter sometimes.
Well, yeah, but I think if you also have renters insurance, it might be covered under some policies there too, that if you're.
Right, because
But
I,
again, it's the type of dog, so we can't require it. I mean, you could recommend
Recommend
that
it.
they have
Which we
it.
do.
Yeah,
And renter's
absolutely
insurance.
recommend, yeah.
because it really, it's not that expensive, and it does protect against being sued.
Yeah.
Well, it does protect against, it protects against the judgment going against the person. So.
Right.
All right, anything further?
Oh,
All right, I think we
Thanks for the info.
are moving on then to the next date of our meeting, January 16th, 2020.
Yeah, they said the 20th, I don't know.
Yeah, I heard that too, now that you just said that.
Yeah, it's not. Oh, yeah. So you must have that wrong, it's the 16th.
Okay.
And he's an
Somebody
open guy.
shoot him a note,
Yeah.
let him know it's the 16th.
Confirm.
Yeah.
All right, and we are ready for adjournment. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a motion? Is there
I'll
a
second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you all very much, and
Thank you.